Everyone argues with their parents, and it's just part of growing up. However, for some people, these arguments can turn into feuds that can lead to estrangement. With celebrities, they can find themselves in some pretty painful situations when their families begin to betray their trust and sell their stories to the press. Hi, I'm Stacey Taylor, and today I'm breaking down the top 10 celebrities that cut off their parents from their lives, part 2. At number 10, we have Miley Cyrus. In the wake of her parents' bitter divorce, Miley Cyrus has completely shut out her dad. After Miley's mom Tish filed for papers back in April to end the 20-year marriage to Billy Ray Cyrus, a bitter family feud would explode and it would be displayed among the tabloids. And with it, Miley would finally cut off old ties she had with her father. Miley is simply done with her father, and it has even been said that she's always felt like her father was trying to cash in on her fame, dating back to the days when she played Hannah Montana. Miley believes the only one who ever truly looked out for her was her own mother, and that this huge rift may never heal. To add more fuel to the fire, Billy Ray Cyrus is apparently now engaged to singer Fire Rose, who he met while he was working on the set of Hannah Montana. Now, Miley definitely knows something none of us know, and it's leading to her resentment of her father. Many of Miley's friends have described the star of being incredibly stressed and feared that the wild child might just fall off her wagon again, as the family being in tatters could trigger another spiral. At number 9, we have Eminem. Eminem's boundless rage at his mother mirrors the invasiveness of her maternal love. Now, Eminem and his mother have been estranged for years, following the use of substances, accusations, and lawsuits. When Debbie became pregnant with Eminem at the age of 18, the rapper's father would abandon him right after he was born. Since leaving home, the rapper has gone on to slam his mother in songs for her lifestyle and how she raised him in not so good conditions. Debbie would eventually sue Eminem $10 million, claiming he was slandering her on the Slim Shady LP. Eminem's lawyers would then come out to say that Eminem's life is reflected in his music, and everything he has said can be verified as true. Debbie has then gone on to deny the claims. However, the two have since stayed estranged, and there's no hope for these two to reconcile anytime soon. Hey peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. At number 8, we have Macaulay Culkin. Macaulay Culkin has discussed his childhood growing up and his relationship with his father, and it's heartbreaking to hear. When the former child star sat down with Mark Maron on an episode of his WTF podcast, Macaulay would go on to discuss the relationship he has with his estranged father, Kit. He would say that his relationship was physically and mentally draining, and because his father was his manager when he was younger, he would have to travel with his son to auditions and film sets. Despite the pair working relationship, they were never close. Macaulay would then say he goes all around the world locked in a room with a man who didn't like him. Macaulay's father even went as far to scare him into not using cue cards on SNL, and Kit also tried to use his power as his son's manager to gain creative control over his son's films, which would soon prompt Macaulay to depart from acting at the age of 14. Macaulay also had to erase both his parents off of his bank account just so they would stop eating away at his giant fortune that he earned as a child actor. So it's no wonder why he cut his dad off. At number 7, Drew Barrymore. At the age of 7, Drew Barrymore would become a household name thanks to her role in the film E.T. With Drew's mother never being prepared to be a parent, when raising her daughter, she didn't always make the right decisions. After Drew's parents got divorced, her mother would take her to Studio 54, where she would be introduced to illegal substances and encouraged to dance with young famous men. By the age of 8, Drew would start to consider herself as a party girl, and she was trying to keep up with her mother's lifestyle. By the age of 12, Drew would go through a stint of rehabilitation, and her mother would go on to lose the credibility as a parent. By the time Drew turned 14, she would be emancipated from her mother, and by divorcing her mother, she would continue to live independently before she turned 16. The star then went on to self-educate herself and later became the actor and woman that most look up to today. Drew has always felt guilty, and she's had empathy and utter sensitivity towards her mother, but realized that the two can't be in each other's lives at this point. At number 6, Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan's relationship with her father Michael is rocky at best, and the two often go years without speaking to each other. Lindsay's rocky relationship with her father dates all the way back to when the actor was a child, when Michael began to struggle with substances. Lindsay has once even said that her father put herself and her family through hell following a stint of verbal altercations. In 2012, Lindsay would call her father following an argument with her mom, and her dad would later sell this phone call to the press, which would result in Lindsay to fully cut off her dad by 2016 after she became so fed up with her father spreading rumors about her in the tabloids. I mean, considering her father also posted her number online for everybody to see, I don't blame the star's decision to keep her father out of her life from time to time. And number 5, we have Emma Roberts. Not too long after Emma was born, her father Eric Roberts abandoned her, leaving the star to grow up with her mother in Los Angeles. While Emma's parents would become enemies following their split, even Eric's sister Julia Roberts would be against his custody of Emma, and she would even help Emma's mother gain custody of the star. Years later, it would be revealed that Eric was struggling with substances, and that's why his sister didn't support him having Emma during the bitter battle. Despite following her father's footsteps, Emma isn't on best terms with her father, and rather being a father to his own child, he became a stepdad to Keaton and Morgan Simmons. Emma's mom took on the role of a mom and dad, so with her father being absent at most events and taking credit for her career, it only makes sense why the star chooses to hush her father out. And number 4, Angelina Jolie. Angelina Jolie's estrangement from her father, Papa John Voight, was finally finalized in 2002 when she legally dropped Voight from her last name. Angelina ultimately decided to petition her last name to be changed just a month before her father's interview with Access Hollywood. During the interview, he would go on to complain that she hadn't let him see his grandchild, and he pleaded for her to get help for specific mental problems. Angelina, who co-starred in the movie Tomb Raider with her father, would respond in the statement by saying, "I don't want to make public the reason for my bad relationship with my father. After all these years, I have determined that it's not healthy for me to be around my father, especially now that I'm responsible for my own child." And number 3, Tracy Morgan. Tracy Morgan hasn't seen his mom for 21 years. For years, Tracy's mom and sister have been bad-mouthing him to the media for refusing to help save his mother's home from foreclosure. Tracy became extremely saddened by the untrue stories, and he began to grow tired of people questioning his commitment to his family. In an interview with ABC News, Tracy went on to state that the reasons they aren't talking are between them, and that he hasn't seen his mother in 11 years outside of a random call here and there, and he's had little to no contact with his sister. Tracy was also helping his mother pay for the mortgage after she lost her job. However, after his mom and sister started talking to the media, Tracy would ultimately change his mind. And number 2, we have Frances Bean Cobain. Now, Frances Bean Cobain didn't officially cut off her mother, however, she did have a restraining order in place. Since Frances was a minor at the time, the allegations would remain sealed. However, that didn't stop tabloids from running story about what truly happened. The Daily Mail would claim that Frances took exception to Courtney Love's alleged substance use, and that they even cited some of Frances' testimony. Frances would say that her mom rarely ate, and she would often fall asleep with lit cigarettes in her mouth, and how she was afraid something bad would happen under the care of her mother. It was also then claimed that Courtney's actions led to the passing of 2 family pets, and this would leave her daughter to file for the restraining order so that her grandmother and aunt could be temporary guardians so she could get away. And at number 1 today, we have Liv Tyler. Liv Tyler didn't even know Steven Tyler was her father until she was 11 years old. Until that point, she believed that Todd Rundgren was her biological father. While Todd always knew there was a chance he wasn't Liv's father, he signed the birth certificate and gave her his last name and stepped in to raise her as his own. When Liv met Steven when she was 8 years old at one of Todd's concerts, she fell madly in love with him and would even go on to buy posters and talk to them. While Todd knew her father's true identity, he decided to keep it a secret due to Steven's reported substance use. In 2009, Liv would say that in the past few years, we haven't been very close. He's also been going through some things on his own, and he hasn't been around that much for us. So that's been hard, but I probably shouldn't be talking about this. I wish he was around more to know Milo more, but he has to go through what he goes through. Well, that's it for this video, my little peaches. Until next time, remember to stay juicy.